Hello guys, I'm ready with another video which is about the gene. What exactly a gene is? A gene, when we talk about, is that it is a stretch of DNA which is able to make either the RNA or the protein. In the either case, if you look at the protein, like before making the protein, it needs to make the messenger RNA. If it's just the RNA, it could be ribosomal RNA or it could be the transfer RNA. So genes, they are going to make both. It can make you the RNA and it can make you the proteins. That is the one thing. And what exactly the a gene is? It is a stretch of DNA, as it said. Along with that, it will have the regulatory elements. Especially, I'm talking about the eukaryotic gene, where it has, the many regulatory element, which could be the binding site for the RNA polymerase, which could be the binding site for the enhancers, which could be the binding site for the transcription factor. Those are very, very important. And ultimately, when it is going to be transcribed in the form of messenger RNA, it should have a regulatory region where you know the transfer RNA along with the ribosomes can bind to that particular region. Okay, so the ribosome binding site, basically in the eukaryotic case, it is called as Kojak sequences, whereas in the prokaryote it is called as Stein-Delgado sequences. But our topic is little different today. How exactly the gene regulation is going to be governed? The one important thing about it is that uh, I'll take one example. Suppose you take a cell from the brain, let's say the neuron, and we take it a cell from the liver, which is hepatocyte. Both we know they have derived from a single zygote. That means genetically they're going to be similar. They have the same genetic material. But why exactly the look wise and the function wise, both way the neurons and the hepatocyte they differ from each other, having the similar genetic material? This is the question which had intrigued in the past, a lot to the scientists. Now we have the exact region how it is going to happen, how it is going to happen. So the basic reason behind it is that differential gene expression, the kind of gene which is active in the neuron may not be active in the hepatocyte, and similarly the genes which are active in the hepatocyte may not be active in the case of neuron, since the requirement of the protein is very different. A basic fundamental, the point in a cell biology is that a cell is as good as the kind of protein it has, and all the protein, it depends upon the kind of the genes are being expressed. Now there'll be two level, rather three level, there'll be control. One, the level control is going to happen at the DNA level, where the histone proteins are going to make a very, very important point. And the certain other proteins like, those are called as chromatin remodeler. And keep it very simple way. If the region of the DNA is going to be condensed, that means the genes which need to be transcribed may not be active, may not be open up. In that case, that gene will not be transcribed. So first thing, we need to open up the DNA. That means we have to unbind the DNA from the over the stone proteins. And if I talk logically, so the important point is that the stone is going to be positively charged and the DNA is going to be negatively charged. So if you create a charge which is similar over the DNA and this stone, just in the layman language, it is going to unbind the DNA. And that is what the, acetylation over the stone does. Similarly, the deacetylation is, going to do the either way. And in some case, the methylation can happen onto the, DNA as well as, the chromatin. If the methylation occur in the regulatory region, especially the upstream of the where exactly the gene is situated, in that case, it might hampers the expression of the gene. Let's talk about one by one. There'll be many level, like the one level. If you are having a gene to express, you need to have the transcription factor for that particular uh, messenger RNA, and to be met. So you need a transcription factor which is going to help RNA polymerase. Why I'm saying the messenger RNA? Because you require a specific transcription factor for the RNA polymerase too. Similarly, we require other structures like the repressor, activators, mediator, or the co-activator. The plethora of the proteins which are required in order to make a gene express. The second thing is that, and let me again tell you the what is the gene expression. Gene has a language which is going to be transcribed in the form of the messenger RNA or the RNA, and this is going to be read in the form of a protein, which process we call a translation. Similarly, other regions like, which could be far region, that is called as, the distant region, or the proximal region, which is closer by, or the cis and the transacting elements we can call in the other way. And then as I said, in the before, the chromatin, the more chromatin is going to be condensed, less is going to be transcription. So wherever, the cells are actively involved in the transcription, we'll have always a region which is going to be, more or less, it is going to be, uh, the loosely arranged, whereas, a gene which is not transcribing, that part of the, gene is going to be condensed, or heterochromatin region, or the euchromatin, alternatively you can call it so. Now let's talk about, the other factor which is responsible for the RNA processing, and so the certain other, regulatory element which is required during the transcription. One thing I have not said is that, there are many other factor and some kind of modification even required during the translation, which has been, the investigated, and we got, the many result where the modification can occur even on the messenger RNA or the other, the proteins responsible for the translation process, that also impact the, the process of gene expression. Let's go to the next slide where we'll talk about, the basically the binding region. If you see, I guess you will be able to see this. The any, the structure of the protein, if you look at, which is, the transcription factor, which has a modular structure which can read from the N to C. N is the N terminus, amino terminus, and C is the carboxy terminus. So roughly this is the structure of the transcription factor, where they have the DNA binding module, because all the transcription factor, they need to bind onto the DNA. This is the DNA and protein interaction, and sometimes they need to be dimerized in order to, function. And then they have the activation module, and at the same time they have the regulatory module, which is going to regulate the process altogether. And there'll be many ways the proteins which are playing important role can be activated. It could be, by the phosphorylation process in the most of the cases. Other cases it could be dephosphorylation. Maybe the some ligand needs to bind to make it active, or maybe some inhibitor which are already bound to it, they need to be separated in order to make it active. And maybe the partner change which happen, I just given you the some example. I'm not going to detail this, and sometimes you require the some kind of cleavage in order to make it active. Now if you just look at the process, as I told you, the part of, uh, the gene or the DNA which needs to get transcribed, they need to be in the activated state. That means there'll be less condensation, or they'll be in the loose form. So if it is the case where, the decondensation or the euchromatin region is going to exist, in that case, you need to convert them into the activated state. That means you're going to make, more acetylation. Whereas when it is in the de-repressed, the repressed state or the inactive state, where it is going to be more in the heterochromatin part. And anti-repression requires, the opening of the chromatin by the several chromatin remodulers, which could add, the specific acetyl residues, on the tails of the histone protein. Histone proteins are having a long tail, especially S3 and H4. Out of the, the 5 histone proteins. Look at this, in this diagram, it is shown that, you need, a specific region. For example, if you look at, this is the region where, the binding should occur. So this region has to be open up in order to, the provide the space for the binding of the RNA polymerase 2. Similarly, if you look at this, the diagram, it is, showing the very, very important point. I've taken this from, a very popular book, Albert, one of my favorite book. And you can see that, this is the Tata region where exactly, the Tata binding proteins are going to come and bind to, and this is the binding site for the several transcription factors. If it is, the inside over here, so it needs to get open up, and this opening up is, going to be caused by the modification on the S3 tail, and especially on the lysine residue. And this is the one enzyme which does it, is the histone acetylase, because a hat, and this is going to open up this region specifically. Okay, and Similarly, some other complexes is told you, the chromatin remodeling complexes, they're going to also play a very important, they're going to remodel the chromatin from the, it could be either way, it could be the heterochromatin to the euchromatin or euchromatin to the heterochromatin, depending upon what kind of, the chromatin remodeling complexes that we have. Okay. And this is the simple thing which is going to be, added on the N terminus. If you look at of the lysine, where this acetyl group, which is coming from the acetyl coenzyme A, will be added with the help of, the enzyme histone acetylase. And one example shown over here, like, exactly how the, the hat complexes, they are going to work together in order to, just make the, acetylation happen. And just look at, like, the two condition, de-repress or the open state, where you can see the acetylation has happened. Whereas, they see the other places where the inactivation had happened, you can see the K9. K is a single letter word for the lysine, where the triple or the trimethylation had happened. So methylation is going to be done by the histone methylase transferase, whereas the acetylation is going to be done by the, the hat. And deacetylation has the same impact as the methylase, methyl transferase. That means it is going to convert this in the inactive form. And this is how the other mediator, and you can see the co-activator, which is playing a very important role in opening up the DNA for the rest of the processes to take place. Now, there's a few more proteins which are, the known. There's one protein which is called the HP1, whereas, the places you can see all these regions which are hanging up around. These are the tail region where the, the triple methylation is going to happen. And there's one protein we call the HP1, which is very, very important. This recognizes basically the heterochromatin region and make it even more complex so that it can be converted to the highly condensed region or the heterochromatin. So this is all about, how exactly this process is going to take place. So the change in the chromatin, change in the presence of the transcription factors, and some, the factors which are very, very important in order to, keep the messenger RNA intact. And there are certain proteins which are involved to control all those proteins which are involved in the translation level. They need to be phosphorylated or the dephosphorylated. And the last point is that, the proper processing of the messenger RNA, that is a tailing, capping, and the splicing. All these three processes also make this process even better. Hopefully, these concepts, I made it very clear to you, and hopefully you're going to, enjoy this. So let me, just thank you for making, your biology spiced up, and have fun. Thank you.